Good day, good morning, good evening. Welcome to another episode of the Soup Bowl, where we talk about leading our own lives. And when we're leading our lives, things get messy. They get a little messy. They get a little soupy. They get a little, why are we doing this? Why are we out here in these streets? So, hey. But thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for liking. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for doing life with me, right? Because we were never meant to do life alone. And I am so honored to be doing life with you. So we just out here, trying to, well, I don't want to say trying, but we are out here living life for real. Whether we want to do it or not, we're out here living life. Some of us are crying through it. Some of us are happy through it. Some of us are joyful through it. Some of us are just clawing our way through it. Some of us are low crawling. We're just out here getting it, right? Either way it goes, we're out here getting it. Okay, so I just appreciate you sticking in there. I appreciate you sticking to it and not giving up, right? Until your last breath on this earth. Hey, I appreciate you. If anybody tell you today, I do. I appreciate you because, hey, we all need some laughs, right? We all need laughs. Just saying. I ain't gonna be clowning you, but Murdoch probably will, and then I will laugh along with him. So that's just what we do. But anyway, so no, for real though. So what are we talking about today? Let me tell you. So we were out, right, and this guy, right. He likes to say what he's going to do. And I think in his mind, he really believes that he's going to do something. And I'm like, yeah, he's not going to do that. He's just not going to do it. And guess what? He doesn't, right? He doesn't. And so, hey, why do we do that? Why do we say we're going to do something when we're not? I don't understand it. Is it because you want to, portray to be something, or you just really believe that you're going to do it and then you don't do it? I don't know. Give me some feedback. Why do we say we're going to do something and then we just don't do it? Because that's not my makeup. That's not my makeup. If I'm not going to do it, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to tell you that I'm going to do it. I'm not going to pretend that I'm going to do it. Guess what? I'm just not doing it. I'm just not. So why do we, or some of you, say that you're going to do something and then you don't do it? Does it sound good? Does it sound good? Is it you're saying it because you think that the person that you're engaging with at the time wants to hear that? Because particularly what he said, I really didn't care if he did it or not, to be honest with you. And what I'm talking about is these chicken thighs. I don't like them. I don't like them. I don't care. I prefer chicken breast. He's over chicken breast. He wants chicken thighs. My guy, have your chicken thighs. Have them all day long. I won't participate in it, right? I won't participate in it. So, have your time. But anyway, he said he was going to cook it. But he didn't cook it. He didn't cook it. And so, hey, that's fine because I don't care. But anyway, he does this a lot though. He says this a lot. So it wasn't about that. It was just that's what he said today. So I'm just bringing up today. Just in case he watches this, I'm talking about today. I'm not going to talk about any other day because we're not keeping tallies. We're not keeping a list of anything. So that's what it is. But anyway, so we were in a setting, right? And the topic was discipline. And I was like, ooh, that's so good. Ooh, let's talk about it, right? And so they were giving examples and, things of what we need to do, right, to achieve our goals and to grow as individuals. I most certainly agree, right? So I'm all about, self-discipline, discipline. I'm not about that mass punishment type thing, but I am about that discipline. So if you know me, you know what I'm talking about. So why is it that, we as individuals we desire, to go to a next part in our life, right? Or we feel as though we deserve something based upon time that we've been at a certain place, or based upon our age, that we've been in a certain place, or you just have like, oh, I believe I have the goods, and so they need to give it to me. However, you've done nothing to really set yourself up for success, to actually get into that particular role, that particular position, that particular status. And so that's where discipline comes into play, right? So if we're disciplining ourselves for a particular thing every single day, we are setting time aside to work on that particular thing. So say, for instance, I was just a natural singer, right? I was just natural at it. I have a beautiful voice, right? I can do it all. However, I don't know how to read music, but I have a beautiful voice, right? So is my beautiful voice going to take me, all the way into, this excellent work when it comes to music? I don't know. I think I'll be pretty limited at a certain point if I do not decide to settle down and learn how to read music. You're this person that says, oh, they have an ear for music and they can just pick up and play whatever, but they really cannot read music. I think you remember the movie Drumline, right? And Nick Cannon, right? Oh, I guess this is when he was nice then. But anyway, so this is, he's in the movie, right? And he's really great at the drums, and he could not read music. He couldn't read it worth a lick. But he got a full scholarship, right, to be in the band at the college, and he didn't know how to read music. And what ends up happening is that he would sit there and he would listen to people play. And then he would just mimic what they play, and then he would just add a little pizzazz or whatever to swoo or woo people, right? And to be like, oh my gosh, this dude could really play some drums. But he didn't know how to read music. And that was one of the requirements, that you're supposed to have to be in that band. And he bamboozled them, right? And so he had to endure some things, right, to really be able to stay in the band and stay on the drum line. So if he did not, he probably would have lost his scholarship, right? And this is kind of like, oh, I'm going to school, right? Disappoint his mother and things of that nature. So when we're thinking about discipline, right, we have to really think about setting clear goals, realistic goals. And these goals really is putting in some work. Not once a week work. Okay. If you put in once a week work, you're going to get once a week work results. You're going to get once a week results, right? So if I call myself, working out, and I do it once a week, are you going to see results? Are you going to see, my muscles being toned, maybe losing weight? Are you going to see any of that? I don't think so. I don't think so, because I really am not disciplining my body, right, from the previous state to actually discipline it to a new state. And that's really what all we're doing when we're talking about setting goals. We're disciplining our mindset to align it with our actions so we can continue on to get into a different part of our lives. And what I mean by different part, I mean another growth area in our lives. We don't want to be babies forever out here in these streets. You don't want to be, looking grown, but then you talking like a child, right? Having that immature mindset. We got to do some things to grow up, right? Like you be telling your young adults out here, grow up, right? You can't be, talking about I'm grown in one space, and in the other space, can Can you help me out? Can you, pay my way? You only come around when you know that your meal going to get paid for or your trip is going to get financed, but you're never willing to put out anything for yourself or for others. We gotta discipline ourselves. In that instance, if I know that I want to take a trip, right, to Fiji, I'm going to use that because Murdoch talks about it all the time. But he don't really want to go. See, that's another one. That's another thing, right? He keeps talking about he going to Fiji, but he don't never pull a plug. He don't never pull a plug on it. But anyway, so you want to go to Fiji, right? So what do I need to do to get to Fiji, right? So I'm going to do this research in regards to, okay, Fiji, the best time to travel, possibly, what's happening on this particular, quarters and throughout the year in Fiji, right? Is there a particular event that I'm trying to attend? What's the lodging look like, right? What does the airlines look like? What type of clothing will I need to wear? How much money do I need to have? All of these things, right, goes along into the research for my trip to Fiji. Now, if I don't do any of those things, right, and I'm saying, I'm going to Fiji next year. I'm doing any of those things, and then all of a sudden I'm into July of that calendar year. And I'm like, oh, snap. I said I was going to Fiji. Oh, let me hurry up. Let me see what ticket price are. Yeah, I don't know. That's pretty expensive. Okay, let me see about the airline. Ooh, okay, I don't know if I can do that, but maybe if I move this around, okay, let me see what's going on here in my bank accounts, make sure everything is paid. And then at the end of the day, you're probably going to come to a decision that it would not be financially wise for you to go to Fiji. Why is that? Because I did not do what I needed to do to get to Fiji. I kept putting it off. Oh, it's going to be there. Everything's going to be okay. It's going to work itself out. But actually, no, I got to put it off. Now I got to wait till next year. Or do I decide, right, to not listen to wisdom and go ahead and go, knowing that I have other responsibilities to take care of? Because I think that's sometimes what we do, right? We continue to go and make decisions in places when actually we should not have done it because we did not use the proper planning, right, to do what we need to do to get there. All right, so let's talk about this. How do I think I said the first thing was setting goals, right? So a couple of things I wrote down. So if I want to live a disciplined life, right, I got to set clear goals, right? Goals that are achievable, goals that are short and long, right? And making sure that they're measurable, attainable, right? They're relevant, that I know that I know that I can get to them, right? So I can't do something like, I've never played an instrument before. And I'm sitting there talking about, I'm going to be able to play the trumpet, in 4 months or 6 months or by my wedding. Right? So I can play. So I'm not saying it's not possible, right? It is. Anything is possible, right? But again, make sure that you're setting goals that are achievable, right? And those, getting to those small wins and not getting discouraged along the way. Now, this is the thing right here that most people forget, which is number 2, which is making sure that you have a routine. You have to put a routine in place. Why? Because you've never done this before. You've never done it before. And so you just can't be like, oh yeah, whenever I feel like I'm gonna get to it. No, you have to actually put a routine in place. I'm going to do this Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'm going to do this for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever the case may be. You're going to have to put a routine in place and you're going to have to stick to it. So it becomes a habit, right? It's automatic. You know, this is what I have to do. Now, when you start this thing, it's going to be difficult. It's going because you're going to want to do something else. You don't want to do something else because you really don't want to do this because it's challenging you, because it's taking you out of your comfort zone and it's stretching you. And so it's uncomfortable. And so you rather do something that's comfortable other than not comfortable. So that's why you have to stick to the routine. You got to create yourself a new habit. So for instance, if you're like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to eat after 8 p.m. Right? This is what you're telling yourself. I'm not going to eat after 8 p.m. But then, right, you're always up. You're always around the kitchen, right, during this time, you know, and then you find yourself, ooh, I just need to grab a snack. But what could that routine be if you're saying, okay, I'm not going to eat after 8 p.m. I'm going to stick to that because I got this goal in mind. I'm about to lose this weight, and so I can't eat after 8 p.m. Well, maybe, you know, you don't be in the kitchen. Maybe you start shutting your home down, you know, during that time. Maybe, you know, some other things is get rid of the snack food, right? So like if you were to grab something, maybe it's an apple or something. I don't know. So listen, you trying to get in the camera. You're always trying to get the spotlight. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's up with that? Like, he's always trying to get the spotlight. He just like his owner. That's all I could tell. He just like his owner. But anyway, so because he comes all the way over here to like from the front over here for me to pet him. When, like, why he can't go to nobody else? Okay, so anyway, next thing is, right, we want to make sure that we set things in order, right? We got to prioritize our tasks that we have to do, right? Look at the things that you have to do for the day and making sure, right, that you're putting them, right, in the present order that they need to be in and things that need to get taken care of. And I think, you know, the prior one that was talking about like, hey, maybe I need to get rid of these snacks or whatever, right? So the next one, limiting distractions. So maybe I need to get rid of this, right? Maybe I need to, unplug the TV, so I'm not going over there to turn it on, which in essence, right, could be, for a particular area, like, okay, I'm going to set time aside, I'm going to read, right? Because some of us don't like to read. I don't know why. But anyway, you just don't prefer to read, you rather watch a video. And so, but you're like, okay, I wanna write this book. And so, but you're gonna have to read. You're gonna have to read to write a book. And so you're the person that doesn't like to read, maybe you're like, okay, I need to read an hour a day. Maybe I'll start off with an hour a day, maybe 30 minutes a day. I'll start reading the book, right? I'm not talking about a news article on your phone, News Weekly. I'm not talking about the highlights of the game. I'm talking about an actual book, okay? I'm not talking about comic books either. No picture books here, people. Come on, all right? So anyway, so you want to start there, and to the point where it could, that 30 minutes turns into an hour, that hour turns into 2 hours, and you're like, oh my gosh, every day I'm like reading whatever. So I know, like, when we used to go into work, right, like some people commuted, right, you either was like on the train or whatever the case may be, those are perfect times to do those type of things, right? So it's really limiting the distractions, right? Because really there's no, unless you're the kind of person that wants to talk to everybody. If you're not that type of person, then I guess it really doesn't bother you because you're just sitting there waiting to get to your stop to get off. So, I mean, that's a excellent way of, right, using your time wisely in what to do. So I know, like, when I used to commute to work, I would use that time, right, as my devotional time of just, reading the word, meditating on the word, writing down, things that were in my heart, at the time, going over my day, things of that nature. So I really use that time for that. And so when we weren't, I kind of missed that time, right? So I had to make that time, put that time in place. But now that I wasn't going in, oh, that same time period, you can use that same time period and you can increase it even longer, right? Because there's really nothing really stopping you. Well, I mean, when the children had stuff, right? It was stopping me. So you had to know how to cut it off at a certain time, right? And so in that, we living a disciplined life, right? We got to talk about this self-control, right? We have to put our bodies under subjection, right? We got to talk to ourselves and be like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that, right? It's looking at, oh, can I go get this snack or whatever? Are you doing that on purpose? So anyway, can I go get this snack, right? When you know that the snack is not going to be good for you. But if you remove, unhealthy snacks from your house, then that kind of helps with that, making sure that those things aren't there and you're disciplining yourself, right, from that gratification, right? Because really it's just immediate gratification. Oh, I want this piece of cake. It's immediate gratification. Or I want this cookie or whatever. Well, maybe you can have a carrot or grapes or something of that nature. And so for me, let's talk about this, because I was not a real big candy person, a real big sweet person. But lately, I can say lately in the last few years, I really had to put some disciplines in place when it came to sweets. So I don't know why he's doing that. But anyway, so I had to put some disciplines in place when it came to sweets, because it was getting kind of out of control. I was like, what's going on, right? I don't know. Is it my time? Like, I just feel like and so I had to say, okay, now, Renee, you can only have something like once a week, right? I was telling myself I can only have it once a week or whatever, because before I really didn't have a desire for it. And then all of a sudden I was just craving it. I was just literally craving it. So even in that, I had to find other things, right, that could help me kind of not have the craving, particularly for sweets. So eating, things of like more fruit, right, and then having those vegetables or whatever, just kind of balance that off, right? And this is a continual thing. This is continual. It has not stopped. It's not something that like, oh, it went away. No, it didn't. It didn't. One thing that I read, right? They said put a 10-minute rule there, right? If you put a 10-minute rule there, meaning like, okay, I'm gonna wait 10 minutes. Waiting out 10 minutes before indulging in anything that you might particularly want to have can be pretty helpful. Why is that? Because probably in 10 minutes you're like, I don't want that anymore. I'm over it. And you just move on, right? So I don't know, like it could work. I've never done it. I've heard about it. I read it. Let me know. Let me know if it works for you, right? The 10-minute rule, right? All right. And so in that, after you're doing, right, you're practicing this self-control, you're getting your body, right, subjecting your body, right, to the authority of what you're saying and telling it to do, right? You're making sure distractions are out of place. You're making sure that you're prioritizing your day. You're creating this routine, right? You're setting this clear goal of how you want to go forward, right? Then along the way, right, you might feel stressed out. Oh, this isn't working, this and that, whatever. Guess what? Adjust. Don't quit. Adjust what you're doing, right? Adjust what you're doing. Because a lot of times we get so frustrated that we think that this is the only way because we started out this way and there's no other way that we can do this. And so we quit. But how about just adjusting? How about just, oh, this is too long, right? Scale it back a bit. Scale it back. There's nothing wrong with scaling it back, but keep the routine. Keep the routine. Just adjust a little. You got to adjust it here and adjust it there. Or maybe at a certain part when you started off, and I think this is what we're coming up to the end of the year, right? And I know people are reflecting and you're like, okay, what I'm going to do for next year, right? And so I think a lot of times is that we start off in life And then there's this period where like, oh yeah, I'm doing great. I'm on this routine. And then life happens, things happen, children, right? Woo-hoo, everything's going on. And we don't know how to adjust to that. So if I was doing something in the morning, right, and it was working for me, now all of a sudden there's something that's taking more priority in that space. Well, maybe I need to look for another time throughout the day. Although I didn't prefer it initially at first, but maybe I just need to put it at the end of the day. Maybe I'll do this before I go to bed. Maybe I'll do this at lunchtime. So for instance, for me, right, at noon, my phone goes to do not disturb. There are two people that it will bypass, right? And that's because I figured it has to be an emergency, right? But anyway, so this is my time to stop and pause for that day and just kind of reflect, woosah, right? Go get some fresh air, come back into things and then continue on my day. Because before, when I did not have that, right, I was getting phone calls, I was still answering emails, I was making appointments, and there was just no sunshine to see about. There was no light. I didn't see any light at the end of the tunnel. I was just going, people. So it's good to now again, I have my reflection time in the morning, but then I realized I need this midday. I need it to continue to function and so people can have this versus what? Yeah, no, I'm not feeling that. So when I don't get it, then you get, part B of me. And that's not good. But what I am realizing too, again, shifting to another part of my life, that I need it at the end of the day. I need it at the end of the day too. So I need it in the beginning, I need it midday, and I need it at the end of the day. And there's nothing wrong with that. See, that's the adjustment that I am going to make. And that being said, it's something that I just did by saying that. I'm staying accountable because I've told you all that this is what I'm about to do. So you can call me on it, right? You can put it in, Renee, what's going on with you? Have you started, taking time out at the end of the day before you go to bed, time for reflection, right? Time for meditation, time for writing down and journaling or whatever the case may be, but pulling yourself away from, the technology that's out there and just kind of, just reflecting, right? Just to get a fresh breath, of air and just kind of really just think about your day and how it went. And maybe, some things that didn't go so well and maybe some things that you need to adjust to, whether it be in work, whether it be, with my family, whether it be with my relationship with Christ, like whatever that it may be, right? And so you need someone to keep you accountable for it. All the time when I'm making adjustments, I tell Murdoch, every now and then he'll keep me accountable. So he's an okay accountable, partner, but right, you might need someone else that's right for real that's going to keep you accountable. So I'm telling you all because we got all types of accountability people out here in these streets. And so I know it's going to be at least one or two of you that's like, oh yeah, when the last time you did your reflection, how many times did you do it today? If I don't say 3, then, come for me. Like, what's going on? Like, why are you not doing it 3 times a day? So anyway, and at the end of this, make sure that you are embracing taking in the challenges. Anytime that you're growing, right, there are going to be challenges. It's going to be some pain that's going to endure there. But at the end of it, it's going to be so lovely. It's going to be so lovely that you've grown, right? If you, for instance, think about it. As you were a child and growing up, some of you might experience pain. They say growing pains, but Like you really might have experienced like physical pain in your body as you were beginning to grow, within your knees, right? It could have been like your elbows, whatever, even your stomach, right? So like even if when you're working out too, there is some physical pain, right? And then there's the mental part of it too. So those things are challenging. It's going to take work, but do not quit. And do not quit. Do not quit. You can do this as long as you're setting those clear goals. Let's go over again. We're setting clear goals. We're making sure that we're creating the routine. We're making sure that we're putting our priorities in place. We're making sure that we're limiting the distractions. And we're putting our body under subjection, right? Because we are in control of it. That's why it's called self-control. Because can't nobody else control us but our own selves. We're adjusting. Reflect, and you need to adjust, right, to what you've already put in place after a while. And then we need to make sure that we stay accountable. Tell somebody. Don't hide it. Don't be like, you ashamed. No, tell someone, right, that can hold you accountable. Not someone that's going to be out there telling all your business, but making sure that you stay accountable, right? And then you need to embrace it. You need to embrace this challenge that you're going through, right? Don't try to hide it. Just go through it. And be honest. Yeah, I hate this right now. To the point where it's going to be, I love this. I love this. I'm so glad that I did this. All right. So that's what we're talking about, living a disciplined life. Thank you so much. We are over our time, but I just thank you for hanging out with me on today. Hey, I love you, and there's nothing that you can do about it. And do you know that leading is teachable? Stay blessed until next time. Peace.